Welcome to our humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on November 1st, 2024 at approximately 4:30 p.m. PST. Now, I've decided to make this my life's journey, if you will, to help people, to encourage people to work together to make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, I build myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally use in my own day-to-day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the same philosophies I guide my person on virtually every decision I make by. With this in mind, tonight we are going to be talking about a wonderful little thing called winning at the game of life. But before we get into that, I do want to say, welcome aboard, Rachel. You are in with the gold tonight. And then we have Operation Shutdown is in with the silver. How you doing there, Operation? And I know you're busier than I'll get out there, Rachel. Of course, we do have Storm in the background helping get things revamped. And would you look at that? Renee Andrews is in with the bronze. So we have Storm in the background handling all of the technical side for us. And then we've got LA Moon in the foreground, not only helping with everything else, but making sure that I stay on top of my own health. And Joe Stewart, you are in with the bronze. How's it going? Now, when I got looking at it, the past week here, I've been sitting down with Storm and LA, as well as my other half, okay, to discuss exactly where we're going, and decided quite literally just today that we are dealing with the game of life. Now, for those of you around my age, okay, there was a game put out by Milton Bradley called The Game of Life. And the thing is, we've got a choice. Okay, now you can let your life carry on the way it is. Okay, you can continue pointing fingers and trying to figure out who to blame for it. Or we can look at this in a slightly different fashion. Now, it's called The Game of Life. And just like with the Milton Bradley game, or any of the role-playing games that we've talked about in the past, including some of the online open world ones. Okay, a game is supposed to be enjoyable, but let us not forget 3 karmic laws. Be true to yourself first. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you, and energy out, energy in. So, how do we go about winning at the game of life? Okay, well, how about if we start with the obvious part? Okay, quit looking to how you got where you are. As with the Milton Bradley game, you play the game of life, the game ends, you start over. Today is the day we start over. Okay, and here's why. I've spent a lot of time looking at it and going, I'm fighting depression, and then it hit me. I'm in the bottom of a bin. Okay, I'm right at the bottom of a crater. When you're down there long enough, it's no longer a depression. So I came to the conclusion, I got to look at things a little differently. I do have a choice. You've got a choice. You can continue looking at your life the way it is, or we can go, okay, what are we going to do to make it more enjoyable? To actually find a reason to get up in the morning and do something. So here's the way this works. We start with where you are right now. Do not look at the past and go, how did I get here? Okay, pretend you got amnesia and you don't know how you got here. What you do know is where you are. And I should have brought that up, but I didn't. Okay, now, I keep hearing people tell me, oh, life is just the way it is. That's the way it was meant to be. Bad news, guys. Life is not meant to be anywhere. Okay, meant to, literally, in my opinion, boils down to somebody else said this is what you should be doing. Okay, now to be clear, if you take a look at it, no matter who you want to credit with your success or your failures, who puts your shoes on in the morning? Does somebody else, some individual or some great big corporate mogul or a spiritual leader of some form, or whatever you call God himself? Do they come down or come into your room and help you put your pants on, help you put your shoes on? If not, you're the one that gets to decide what you do. Now, I'm laying odds that you don't have somebody coming in. Some of you may, because some of you, unfortunately, have had some pretty serious problems. Okay. One of the biggest things we got to look at with life, what are you doing right now that you're content with? Now, you take a look at this mess behind me. It's organized. Okay. But that's my working desk for the night, for the day. Now, what I had to do and what you have to do, I'll correct that. If you desire, or more to the point, when you desire to change the direction your life is heading, then it is up to you to decide, what are you not content with? What's going to bring you a little bit of joy? Joe here is going, I had a dentist appointment Halloween afternoon. Went okay. My teeth are still not perfect, just like me, but I got that behind me. I'm not going to stress about it by any means. It's already behind you, and that is an excellent lesson to learn, to remember right there, courtesy of Joe. It is behind him. He cannot do it anymore. He can't do anything about it. It's happened. My financial stress, and I have been burying myself in stress, trying to figure out how am I going to correct it, and am I going to die first? Well, I'm not going to worry about whether I'm going to die first. I've done that often enough. The thing we got to remember here is look at the world you've got. Okay, what makes you happy? If listening to music makes you happy, turn it on. And I do recommend finding the fastest dance-paced music you can find. Turn it as high as socially acceptable, and let it run. The increased vibratory rate of the music will bring your energy levels up. It will make you feel better. I strongly recommend, if you're getting frustrated with things, stay away from slow-paced and frankly depressing music. Really bad idea. Than listening to it, that is. So, what did I do with it? Watch this. I turned the lights off and I can't read what I've got. Yep, that's what I did. Turned the lights off and can't read what I've got. So, take those off. Now, right now, we're looking at the game of life. Here's the thing. You desire your life to change. It's up to you to make some shifts. Because if you do nothing, I can virtually guarantee, that if you do nothing yourself, your life is going to stay on its current path. It's kind of like trying to drive through traffic with your foot off the gas. If you are in an automated system, okay, these newfangled cars coming out that are totally automated, I'm telling you, that's what everybody's living their life like right now. Well, the majority of people. See, when I was a kid, and some of you remember this, but when I was a kid, you like just a young adult, we drove with 4 on the floor. Okay, stick shift and 3 pedals on the floor, not a cruise control. Cruise control, you had to think. Right now, our world is getting more and more automated, and people are forgetting how to think. And so what we're going to do is remind you how that happens. First thing you look at, are you content with where your life is? This is the primary thing you got to look at. Not how bad is your life, not how much of a struggle have you spent. How long have you been fighting the urge to just say, scrap it, I'm done. Okay. How long have you fought tooth and nail just to make ends meet? Now you can continue worrying about that, but the whole kicker to it is this: find anything in your life that you're not content with. Okay. And that's where this neat little, if my hand worked, that would be nice. That's where this neat little list comes in. Okay. Now, I've talked to you multiple times about this neat little thing. Okay. Clipboard and pen, and we're good to go. Find anything you're not content with. Oh. And then he goes, I watched a guy surfboard a motorcycle last summer. Now, does that mean he ended up in the drink? Or he dumped it on the side and stood on top of it? The dumping it on the side and standing on top of it, I've done. Not necessarily the wisest thing, but it was better than run over the pedestrian. So, when you take a look at it, we're starting the game today. All your pieces are on the starting point. Now, life is not random, but at the same point, it's not preordained. Okay? In other words, what you do in the game by Milton Bradley, you took a spinner and you spun the dial and it told you how far you can move. Gee, Joe, I didn't think you were that young, but I'm glad you are. It's either I didn't think you were that young or I didn't think I was that old. Mike, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Your nana, so you look at your pieces. Now, in the real game of life, you don't have a die to roll. You don't have a spinner to spin. You get to take life one step at a time. So you start by going, okay, where am I? As in, what tools was I born with? Now, this is where I go a little bit sideways. Okay, because the trick with the game of life is to use every tool you've got at your disposal. Every one. And if you don't have a tool, I just hope you aren't a tool. But this is the ephemeris. Now, this is the tool that we use as astrologers. And again, it's just another tool. Okay. All this does ultimately. Okay. Where was this? Oh. All this is, what you do is you take a look at this. Now, this particular book I can read. Now, it's really cute. I was told one day, because somebody wanted some information on astrology, and I was told, if I have to look at a book, then I'm not professional. Well, here's an idea. Okay, and you certainly aren't going to be able to read this, but take a look at the amount of writing. That's 4 months of the different signs and where they sit. Okay, different planets, different signs, a number of points. 4 months of them on just that one page. But this is a tool, and the thing is, with a natal chart, what it does, as it was explained to me, was it tells you what skills you were brought in with, what your propensity was, what you're doing today, okay, and what I've already started doing. I actually began it this morning in earnest, okay, before we take one step down the road of the game of life. Okay, look at where you are and really take a look at what skills you've got, what tools you've got. Okay, the ones you've got, these are the ones we work with to start with. Now, I mentioned in the past, okay, I took a look at it. If I look in the dictionary, I kid you not, I am best described, if you look at dictionary, according to the internet, dictionary dictionary definitions, specifically by Google. Okay, I am best described as a pessimistic cynic with philanthropic tendencies. Now, here's the kicker. I can choose to look at the pessimistic side, look at the cynical side, and go, that's what I'm going to build my life on. And I'm telling you, that's what I've been building my life on, in spite of the tools of the podcast and of the free newsletter. Which, by the way, the free newsletter is available. If you go to the top of the chat room, there's a neat little link there called buymeacoffee.com/inner voice J. Go into that. You'll be able to get the free newsletter. You'll be able to get a hold of me regarding consulting and any of the books that I've written. Okay. Now, I had the choice. I could stay focused on, I'm going to choose to be depressed. As I discussed, I'm not in a depression. I'm right at the bottom of a bin. Okay. But as L.A. Moon pointed out, if I take all those little pebbles that are lying around me and stack them up, I can climb up and get out. Okay. I can look to the stars and go, that's where I'm going. My own son looked at me and goes, Dad, I realize you're feeling really bad. This is a few days ago. Well, probably a week and a half, 2 back. He looks at me and goes, I know you're feeling really bad, but do consider, Dad, you may be way in the bottom of a bin and standing on what you consider this tiny little pebble, but you may well be head and shoulders above the people around you. Now, that's the other side. Okay, I can choose to remain, and you can choose to remain depressed and going, I'm just not going to be able to do anything. Okay, my life is absolutely in shambles. It's all somebody else's fault. You can certainly choose that. Okay, but I'm telling you, you close your eyes and you get blinded by that image. You're not going to see the joys that are around there. Now, the other side of my outlook is the philanthropic tendencies. I never put any consideration into finance when I was a kid. I'm telling you, if you're younger than 61, okay, I'm 61. If you're younger than that, take my word for it, however old you are, however young you are, take my word for it. Take it from somebody that's been there, done that. Focusing on what you don't have and what you've lost and what's gone wrong in your life, all that's going to do is weigh you down. Okay, point in fact, in 2007, if I held my glasses right there, I couldn't physically see them. And the eye doctors told me I would be going blind. I looked at them and went, not going to happen. I currently, okay, now 2007, we are now looking at, what, 23 years later? No, 2007, not even. We're looking at 17 years later. I've got 20/20 eyesight for close up. Okay. I chose to go, I'm going to take what I was told I'm going to go through. I mean, no, not going to happen. You have the same option. Now, I'm going to steal a comment from somebody from centuries back that looked at everybody and went, all that I do, thou shalt do, and more. If I can pull it off, so can you. Okay. Now, the miscalculation I made that I could keep dwelling on is I am a philanthropist at heart. Hence why all of this on positive perceptions is this is all free. Okay. Winning at the game of life is not a question of making money. Number one rule of thumb, money is required, but it's got to be a side effect of your efforts. Otherwise, you start focusing on the money, and I'm telling you from practical experience, this doesn't work well. What are we? Oh, there we are. Yeah. Now I'm just curiosity there, Joe. Did you order that, or are you fortunate enough that somebody else is sending you the Dream Interpretation Dictionary? Because that ought to, as L.A. Moon puts it, that ought to really help. Now, with the game of life, we're going to make your first step, the first maneuver you make is look in the mirror and figure out, how are you looking at the world? Are you looking at what makes you happy, at where you can go, or are you looking in the rearview mirror going, this is what I did wrong? Okay, as I told my kids, okay, some people talk about having a TV in their car. You've got 4. Okay, you can look behind you. Okay, and you can worry about what you've been through. And you can carry on dragging that with you as long as you like. You're more than welcome to it. Okay, but I'm telling you, if you're dragging those chains with you, and this is where we can jump forward a few months and go, if you're carrying those chains about what you did wrong, what you did ineffectively, into the next couple of minutes, okay, and into the future at all, you're choosing to weigh yourself down. This is going to be tiring. This is going to be depressing. Okay, so get an idea. Where is your head at? What are you looking at? Okay, so we take a look at that to start with. Give me this book back. Now today we're looking at the game of life, and these are all tools to the same thing. I wonder if that'll work, because I can't read that at all. I turn the light on. There. Now I might be able to see. Maybe, maybe not. We'll find out. So, when we look at the game of life, first and foremost, okay, you've got to take a look at it from the standpoint of, here's where I am. Now, I'm going to climb this mountain. There's this whole mountain, this whole field of opportunity for you. You can look behind you and try and walk forward. This will be fun to watch. Or you can look forward and go, as was said in Cannonball Run by Sylvester Stallone. Okay, when they started off on the race, he grabs the back in the rearview mirror and he goes, snap. What is behind me does not matter. That's where it is wise to start. Take everything that got you to where you are and go, okay, that's the cards I've been dealt with. Now, Kenny Rogers wrote a song called The Gambler. Okay. And like as he put it, every hand is a winner, every hand is a loser. Okay. Your call which one you've got. Now, I've got a neat little situation on my hands. I've said it many times, and way too often I've said it. Okay. That I am in a financial mess. Now, I am certainly in a financial mess right now, but my choice, just like yours, is, am I going to focus on the fact that's where I am, or am I going to look at the fact that this morning, unbeknownst to me until I got here, all of a sudden I ended up with an added $800 in my pocket. Okay, now this doesn't get me out of my mess, but it does cover part of it. You have to decide, are you going to focus on the good things, no matter how small, or are you going to focus on the bad things? Okay, the bad things that have happened in the past. Are you going to keep focusing on those so you can bring them forward, just like a slinky going down the stairs? Okay, and as I asked you before, what's the similarity between stupid people and slinkies? Okay, and I know that's a weird sidetrack, but it does actually play. What do we got here? Joe's going, the gift is coming from my older sister, Anna. She lives in Pensacola, Florida. We are playing pretty close. This is fantastic there, Joe. You know, the thing is, if you take a look at it, what is the similarity between slinkies and stupid people? Well, I will tell you this. The punchline is really kind of derogatory, so we're going to leave it alone. I will tell you, if you keep dragging all that chain with you, you're going to have to pull that chain, throw it over your shoulder, let the momentum carry you down the stairs. Now, you'll notice slinkies go downstairs. They don't go up them. You never see a slinky climbing the stairway to heaven. Okay. Whoa, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Oh, yeah, you just had to beat him there, eh, Wu? So, what I've got to do here is as we know, I make notes to make sure that I can carry on with things. Yeah, so I can stay on top of them. Now, one of the important factors we have to look at, everybody I know of, and that includes all life forms, every one of them has the same thing going for them. You've got free will, you've got free choice. What you don't have is freedom from consequence. And yes, that means that when you do something good, you also get a really neat little thing. Okay. Lunar, how you doing? Glad you could join us. You know, you have a couple of choices. Okay, and what I mean by that is you can choose to go downhill and stay focused on everything going wrong, or you can go, okay, I got a bonus today. I'm moving up in the world. I'm just not passing out. You know, one of the neat little things that we have to look at in this world is this. With the game of life, you choose, are you going to win or are you going to lose? Now, this brings to mind something that I personally witnessed. I witnessed this one myself. I'm sitting there on the edge of a curb, sitting talking to a street chap I knew. And he's sitting there and we're talking along and there's no problem. This guy that clearly just lost everything. And he sits down beside us. He's in a business suit and he looks absolutely like he hasn't slept at all. Plants himself beside us. And he looks at us and he goes, he says, I used to have it all. I used to have a beautiful job, a wonderful family, had a house, lost my job, lost my home, lost my family. Life, I'm sitting here now living inside a cardboard box. The guy beside me leans forward, looks at the guy and goes, you got a cardboard box? Man, that is fantastic. You are so lucky. It boils down to this. Whatever state you're in, okay, whatever situation you're facing, you get to choose. Are you going to look at what you lost or are you going to look at what you have? Now, I've mentioned I'm struggling. Absolutely I have. Okay. But I can look in the mirror and go, okay, yeah, I'm having financial struggles. But I'm now choosing to go, I've got a roof over my head. I've got an income. Not much of one, but I've got a roof over my head. This is better than living on the street. Okay. It was comical. I told my other half just about a week or so back. I says, I'm running low on coffee. I've only got a 6-month supply. It's already bought and paid for. I don't have to worry about it. All I got a problem with is she keeps drinking all my coffee. But the game of life is won by literally looking in the mirror and going, where am I standing and what is going well for me? I appreciate the reminder, Lunar. That's what my other half said. Apparently, 2 o'clock in the morning on this Sunday, in other words, in 2 days, we have to turn around and move the clocks forward. I find that I've always found that fascinating. We apparently started doing that, and maybe I'm wrong, but we apparently started doing it for the prairie farmers, which is great. I'm all for helping other people. But here's the sad part about it. The people on the prairies apparently don't change their clocks, which doesn't add up. Oh, there we go. I take it this means you've been living in your tent most of the summer there, Lunar. But the game of life is won not only by effort, and rest assured, you're going to have to make some changes if you've been living your life focusing on the negative. Okay. If you're going to choose to focus on the negative, I will tell you, it gets pretty annoying. And it was very annoying for me for the longest time until I realized if you're at the bottom of a gully for long enough, it's no longer a depression, it's a way of life. So you start with that. Where are you? And not how did you get there, because how you got there doesn't really matter. What does matter is where you go from here. And as LA has put it, LA goes, I've hit the bottom of a dumpster a few times. It smarted. I decided the only way I was going was up. Matt Storm, when I hit the bottom, he was there too. And I'll tell you, just to let you know, we know, we absolutely know it's crowded at the bottom. There's a lot of us down there. And they tell me it's lonely at the top. Logical solution, like I said, by nature, I'm a philanthropist. Absolutely broke at this point, but in spirit, in heart, I'm still wealthier than most. Okay, and yes, no question, I am a pessimistic cynic, but I can either dwell on that and go, oh, the world is a wreck, and we're all going to die. There's lots of people out there telling you that, and I will back them up on it. Every one of you is going to die. Dying is easy. Okay, I make it look real easy. I've done it, 9 times without even thinking about it. The 10th one is a possibility. Okay, dying is easy. There's lots of variety. Okay, take your pick. I'm strongly suggesting you take the hard road. The hard road is live. And I do mean live life to its fullest. Your call. Okay, now, Luna's going, I'm all about the positive now, and this is fantastic. A couple of things that I do, let's see if I put it here. Telebi. Yeah. Now, when we look at positive perceptions, this stream, okay, there are a number of things I am looking at to change. And yes, I'm going to come right out and ask you guys for help with it. And here's what it is. The goals I've got are real simple. Like I said, it has come to my attention. The only thing I am going, I'm going to pause that for half a second. Dave, how we doing?
Good. Making sure you're all good to go tonight.
We are.
Excellent.
Yeah, so about 4 hours here, we'll be up and running.
Okay, buddy. We'll see you tonight.
Absolutely, Dave. Okay, take care. And there was confirmation that we are on Spaced Out tonight. You know, the thing that I came to the conclusion when I was looking at what I'm going through, I am in the process of writing out a document so I can pick up the phone when I get telemarketers or creditors phoning me. It'll be okay. Here's who I am. Now I've identified that. Now we do it this way. And I've made this a very clear decision on my part, if they desire, if they want to talk to me, it's going to be done on my terms, not theirs. Okay. Now, the thing I'm going to ask you guys for help with is this. I am absolutely intent on doing a couple of things. Number one, really encouraging everybody I run into to work together to make this a better world for virtually everybody while following the 3 karmic laws. This is number one. Okay. And the 3 karmic laws are listed above, but in simplest terms, be true to yourself first. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Energy out, energy in. You follow those 3, okay, and you make that decision. Here's the way I'm running my life. As long as you follow those 3 laws, you'll be fine, okay? But the second thing I desire to do, okay, is to literally, as a matter of fact, just so I get this right, that is not what I need. I wrote them all down earlier. Okay. Encouraging people to work together is the primary, and that is my primary goal at this point. Right now, that's my life mission. Okay. Yes, I've done all sorts of things over the last 60 years. Well, 61 years. Now I'm looking at it going, okay, that didn't work all that well. But just like the Milton Bradley game, you don't win the game of life the first run. Start over, reset, decide how you're going to do things, and go for the stars. You may only get to the moon, but it's still better than where you are. Okay. And LA, I agree with you wholeheartedly. My nerves won't handle a lot of negative anymore either. Fact of the matter is, I've been doing that to myself. So the first thing we look at is working with each other. Second one, okay, and this is for the whole combination of positive perceptions, this live stream, and positive perspectives, the newsletter. And for those of you that have already signed up for it, it's in your email. I sent it out yesterday. Okay, matter of fact, you got a few people that have asked for it. They're still in Buy Me a Coffee. I'll be going into those tonight and shipping those out. They'll either go out late tonight or first thing in the morning, even first thing on Sunday morning. Won't be first thing on Sunday morning because this is Friday, so it'll be Saturday. In any event, okay, the second thing I'm going to be looking at, the second major goal here, is these neat little books here. Okay, all of these are self-help books. Okay, we have Believe in Yourself and Follow Your Dreams. Believe in Your Business and Follow Your Dreams. Believe in your finances and follow your dreams. I'm in the middle of writing, actually I'm probably close to the end of writing, Believe in Your Organization and Follow Your Dreams. And here's the kicker. Every one of these books, okay, will be turned into a PDF ASAP. In the meantime, $20 in your hand virtually anywhere in the world. Okay, so I'm going to cover a lot of that over the next little while. These are all tools I personally am using anyway. But like you, I've been playing the game of life by following what other people have said. Your body is going to break down as you get older. You're going to have problems with your health, with your finances, with the material world. Okay. So I mean, yeah, there we go. Luna's going the prime directive. Ultimately, that is the point. Let us not forget, you have free will. You have freedom of choice. You do not have freedom from consequence. Okay? And I will tell you, asking for forgiveness for everything you've done in the past, it's a great idea, but how about if we start with the obvious issue? Okay? Look in the mirror and literally lock eyes with the person looking back at you. You literally tell them, and I recommend you do this verbally. Okay, vocally, out loud, however you want to put it. Okay, I forgive you for everything you have done and everything you feel you may have done to hinder my personal growth and happiness. Okay, this will set the clock so that you can take your entire negative past and go, I'm done. Okay, I'm not dragging that with me anymore. Now, the other side of this is you can continue blaming other people for the problems you've got. This is part of the game. You're told it's the government's fault. The elites are doing it. Your whatever you call your God is responsible for your state. Okay. But are you also going to turn around and give them credit for what you've got? Okay. Because let's remember, number one, the politicians are absolutely the people that have been elected or appointed. Okay, they have given you, like the laws or not, they have given you guidelines to live by. This is a plus. You don't have to agree with them. You just have to realize, or it's wise to realize, that laws work if they apply to everybody. Unfortunately, that's not usually the case. But when we take a look at this issue of self-help, we are going to concentrate on giving you tools that you can work with. And this is where your guys' input will be greatly appreciated. I've mentioned this before. Okay. If you've got ideas of what you would like to take a look at, doesn't matter what the field. Okay. But okay, bring it to me either in the chat room here in all caps. Again, if you've got questions, absolutely pop them in. Okay, give me ideas as to what you're lacking. Because unfortunately, this whole idea of my going, this is what this world is lacking, isn't working. Okay, I mean, I shouldn't say it's not working. Ultimately, that's very true, Lunar. Lunar goes, it's a cruel dichotomy. What do we got here? Oh, no, in all fairness, Joe's going, would it sound crazy if I said I kind of miss the activity back there, referring to the graveyard behind his house? Okay, that used to happen. The answer is, I'm the last person to ask if you're crazy. Okay, but it makes sense. The activities has slowed down a little. I'll tell you, it's still there. You're just not, you may be, if you will, eye blind. When we start looking at cruel dichotomies there, Lunar, like I said a little earlier, these two outlooks are usually incompatible. I figured out a way to do it. I am, by dictionary definition, absolutely a pessimistic cynic, but I also happen to be a philanthropist. Okay, so one of the goals I'm looking at is bringing tools to you that do work, that tried and tested, have been literally tested by thousands of people. Okay, across the decades, they have been tested by thousands of people, so I know these tools work. And all it is a simple investment, and this is probably overstated. I'm telling you, if you don't have enough money to buy a coffee, buying a book for $20 isn't going to be easy. But we've lived our life. And when I say we, everybody living in this society has lived your life done in a real great way. Okay? Politicians, media moguls, industry leaders, religious icons have primarily been saying your life bites. Okay? And it's all somebody else's fault. You got a choice. You can play by those rules. If you do, I'm telling you, it's been done very successfully. And yes, I do recommend that when you're striving to do something different, talk to somebody that's done it successfully. I can absolutely, if you really desire me to, which, I'm thinking if I get to this point, I'm just grabbing a fork, sticking the light socket, see if that's going to help. I will tell you, static electricity is just as painful. Not as much damage, but, the reality is, if you're going to blame others, let's face it, you also have to do the flip side and then give the credit to everybody that you've managed to do something. Okay? Now, the reality is, I'm looking at increasing because I know the information I've got works. Okay? I am absolutely saying the way it will help me, and one of the other goals I've got is to increase literally my sales as far as books, consulting, generate a stable income. Because right now, okay, and literally up until I came on stream today, I was looking at it going, I'm living my life. Okay, but I'm choosing to go, I'm depressed. I'm fighting depression. I've got an absolutely miserable life, and it's all somebody else's fault. Okay. Now, I grew up in the military. I know how to play pass the buck. Yeah, Rachel goes, yep. When you point, three fingers point back at you. Absolutely. This is why usually if I'm pointing, I'm doing it this way. Because I'm good at passing the buck. I don't desire to take responsibility. Or more to the point, I didn't. Of course, the problem there is I wasn't taking responsibility for my own stupidity, and I was not taking credit for the things I did right. Now, I should have, I don't have to apologize. I'm going to anyway. For those of you that have really bolstered my emotions and my outlook when I've hit real low points, thank you very much. For somebody to look up at me, and this is something I'm choosing to do now. People have called me an expert. Well, I'll tell you, I'm not an expert in anything. Okay, I'm barely functional in being me. But am I a specialist? Absolutely. Much more to the point, it's a really nice feeling to have people look at me and reach out and say, hey, you've helped me. Okay, this is all I've ever really desired to do in life. I just got really good at passing the buck and going, I'm not doing anything of value, and it's, anything wrong is somebody else's fault. I've been looking at it the same way. But at the same time, I was looking at it going, I'm not good at anything, so I'd give the credit to other people as well. Okay, like many of you, I put my brothers on a pedestal and went, you're so much better than I am. Okay, this was erroneous. Okay, I've managed to survive, and when you go to play the game of life, the real one, not that funny one where you spin the dial. Okay, the only time that I found, if you're with somebody if you're with somebody there was an old game that everybody got really edgy about, but when I was growing up, we called it literally, it was spin the bottle. Now, that's great if you know people, if you know somebody. And I will tell you, if you want to do it with strangers, that's your call. Just make sure if you're doing it with strangers, and this is a personal call on my part, if you're going to play spin the bottle with strangers, Or like the movie, like the series back in the 1960s called Peyton Place. Okay, you're going to crawl into bed with people. Make sure neither one of you is attached to anybody aside from each other. Okay, it is a personal choice. But again, look at the law, at the issue of do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Yeah, well, Joe, you can reflect. Joe goes, at this point in my life, all I can do is reflect on my screw ups and blessings. And there's a lot of both. You can reflect on the things you did wrong. Absolutely. Oh, that's fantastic, Lunar. You know, Lunar's just going, I just told a woman from our local health center almost the same thing. These are the messages that I've decided have got to take dominant focus on. But you've got to make the call for you. If you're not content, all the prayers, all the wishes, all the positive affirmations in the world will not do a thing for you, aside from give you motivation. But unless you unglue your butt from the back from the chair, you're not going to make the changes. Okay, so yeah, there we go. I mean, I look at it this way: when people talk about generations, very much like Ellie is pointing out, I look at a generation as 20 years. The average time when a male and female decide to have a kid. Okay, it's usually in their late teens, early 20s. And that hurt. Don't worry, just hiccup, not a heart attack. Anyway, when we're playing the game of life, the trick is to find a goal that you desire to make in your current life. Don't get hung up on 10 years down the road, I'd like to be at the top of this mountain. Don't worry about that. Ignore the top of the mountain, because I'm here to tell you the top of the mountain will always get higher. There's always something better. Of course, go on the flip side, you can always go with something worse. And yes, there always is something worse. Okay, but the game of life is won by choosing a positive direction, by choosing to take a look at something you're not content with. Whoa, that is a really bad typo, Lunar. Oh, I just translated. Yeah, the neat part is, like I said, one of those neat things we all have in common. If you've been told you're going to die, somebody got it right. You are going to die. But like the ancient Egyptians, you can't take it with you. Okay. However, where I made the mistake was looking at finances and going, they are a bad thing. Of course, I came to that conclusion because when I was a kid, every time I met somebody that had a lot of money or a lot of material wealth, they turned out to be absolute dipsticks. And I desired to have nothing to do with that. I'm a big enough dipstick on my own. I don't need help. So when you take a look at that, you can go, I'm going to focus on what everybody tells me is going to go wrong. Or you can look in the mirror and go, okay, what's working? Well, start off with the first one my dad always said. If you wake up and you're not pushing daisies, it's a good day. Well, with a constellation lunar, so was I. Okay, and I'll tell you, where it comes to addictions, okay, there are two types of addicts. You've got addicts and you've got recovered addicts. The process of recovering is a step-by-step procedure. Now, that said, when you are at a point, okay, where you're ready to let the negative past go and heal for yourself, I will tell you, and I've posted it here before, we've talked before, okay, I do have a tried and true method that has worked for thousands of people, okay, for quitting alcohol, quitting drugs, quitting overeating, quitting procrastinating, the whole 9 yards. The same tool works. Okay. And this is why I say, absolutely, I'm going to put that to paper again as well. Okay. But I am quite willing to hand that over to you. The reason being, okay, when you decide to look at the past and go, okay, my life's a wreck. I've done all these bad things. I've had all these holdups. The game of life is not won by looking out the back window. If you have a license, I will warn you, looking out the back window all the time is going to get you into an accident. That's just the reality behind it. Lunar, congratulations. 6 years, anytime you're quitting an addiction, doesn't matter what it is, anytime you are, it's always, always, always one day at a time. But I will tell you, if there are no cravings, okay, people say once you're an addict, you're always an addict. A leopard doesn't change its spots. Well, 2 news flashes. 1, no. Once an addict, not always an addict. Okay. Once an addict, you have been an addict. But the first things first, you put down the drugs, the alcohol, whatever. These are absolute weights, links in a very heavy chain that you can drag with you if you'd like. LA goes, I told my doctor that was lousy advice, and I wasn't going to obey him. 6-month death sentence, 15 and a half years ago. The neat part about it is at 2 years old, I was diagnosed dead and shipped to the morgue. Okay, I didn't agree with the doctor's diagnosis, so I got up and left. Okay, it's not a question of will you die. The game of life is based on how you live. Okay, and the best way to become immortal is, quite frankly, not to live forever, but to literally leave a mark behind, leave the world in a better state than when you got here. No matter what you did in your life in the past, doesn't matter. Okay. Yeah, no doubt. Ultimately, like Lunar goes, when my mom died, I had to decide for myself. Absolutely. Every one of us has the same choice. Your life is where it is right now. How you got to where you are is not a major concern. What does matter is where you're standing right now. Do you know how to move forward? People say you got to ask the right questions. Well, this is a great idea. If you know what the right question is. Most people haven't got a clue. The neat little part about it from my standpoint is this. The game of life is won by continuing to move forward, one step at a time. Okay. By the way, cute little sidetrack for you. 1 + 1 = 3. This is not mathematics. Okay. It is the theory of relativity. Not the one that Einstein gave. As much as Einstein gave some brilliant mathematical calculations, that's not, from what I gather, that's a mathematical calculation that he gave. Very accurate, very useful. Okay. the theory of relativity I work by is 1 plus 1 equals 3. Okay, now your choice in life is simple. Are you going to stay on the path you're on? Okay, like when you're looking at the game of snakes and ladders, it's a question of how the dice roll. Okay, absolutely it is. But that's a game on a board. The game of life, you get to choose whether you're going to go down the slide or climb the stairs. Okay, now you can absolutely, once you get to heaven, you go to heaven at the top of the stairs. Absolutely, you can ride the banister all the way to the bottom. I'll tell you two major things. One, the staircase going to heaven is polished smooth as all get out. The one going down to hell is absolutely chock full of slivers. And there's an absolutely annoying little knot at the end of that banister. I'm suggesting take your time getting down there because it's painful when you get there. But when we talk about winning the game of life, the key there is to look, is to look in the mirror and go, okay, this is where I'm standing. This is the mess I'm standing in. Now, where do I go from here? And yes, I can get into some pretty black days, really black ones. Okay, Ellie and Frank, Ellie and Storm have both seen me do it. Some of you guys have seen me do it. And much as I keep going, I keep telling people I'm not special compared to any of you. However, the fact that some of you, and thank you very much for that there, LA, the fact that some people, see me as a hero, I'm just doing what I can in a nutshell. And like I said, you can do it as well as I can. Okay, but I will tell you, if it weren't for LA and Storm, this stream would have major problems. Now, I am looking at offering self-help tools to everybody. Absolutely I am. Okay, the third thing I'm looking at, okay, is literally showing people and explaining to people that yes, there are other species out there that are not from Earth or that are ancient and evolved on Earth before mankind. But the trick here is to help you realize that these are just other people. They've got different toys, different talents, but they're still people. Okay? And they want literally the same things you do. Now, I've got in my book, Races of the Worlds, okay, I've got 60 races in that book, one of them being human. Well, I should say 60 species. I have no idea how many races, but that's this book. And again, you go up to the top of the chat room and you'll see a link to buy these books. Okay, we are working on the PDF format, has not been accomplished yet. Joe, I've been told I appreciate that. I've been told I've got a sense of humor. I'm always looking at it going, I'm not sure. But, thank you very much for that anyway. The nice part about it is I'm looking at helping people understand that yes, humans do exist. We've done a lot of good things. But there are some pretty phenomenal tools out there. Okay. Phenomenal races, the species that have done other things. Mankind is not the top of the totem pole. Okay. So we are looking at helping people. What's that? We are looking at helping people understand all the different species out there. All the species out there have their own strengths, their own weaknesses. Every one of you has strengths and weaknesses. It's time to start focusing on the strengths, not on the weaknesses. Absolutely, I acknowledge where you've got a shortfall. in the game of life, it's a matter of I've got strengths and I've got weaknesses. Find a balance point. Share the things you know. Okay, the ones that are uplifting. If you're, when you're having a bad day, absolutely part of the game is to learn to communicate. And quite honestly, it's one of the biggest parts of the game. One of the biggest things that we got to look at here is that in this game, we have everybody's going the same direction. Okay, we can look at time and go, okay, we move forward through the map on the game of life. Nobody goes back in time. Okay, because you still have to move forward to get backwards. Now, if you watch the Avengers Endgame, the Hulk, Bruce Banner explains it very nicely. Okay, that ultimately, when you go back in time, that back in time becomes your future. Okay, which means changing it cannot affect your current present. Okay, long story, very complicated, real simple in some ways, but you've got a choice. Are you going to keep looking in the mirror at what you did ineffectively? You remember that old concept, if I knew then what I know now? Well, get over it. You didn't. Okay, but you do know now. And I know you know because I'm sitting here telling you. So if you didn't know, if you hadn't heard it before, now you have. Wherever you are in life, take a look at what you're not content with. Okay, now, for instance, if you, I can't see that very well, but my bed behind me here is full of paperwork. Okay, and the reality of it is this. I can dream that that's going to go away. I can pray it's going to go away. The only way that's going away is I pick it up and put it away. Okay, so that's the other thing, and it was a mistake that was made a long time ago. The off-worlders were left out of the equation. Okay, one of the biggest things, and again, when I talk about sharing this knowledge that I'm sitting on, it's a simple fact. Sooner or later, I'm going to die. And if I don't get all the information written down, okay, it dies with me. Okay, but here's the kicker. While I'm doing that, I am also concentrating on this, generating an income. Now that income has got to come through either the donations or book sales or consulting fees. Okay, I keep it as minimal as I can get away with because most of you don't have the thousands of dollars that you could be paid and charged. Okay, I was charged years ago. I wasn't charged. I got paid in excess. Now, what did I get? I got paid in excess of $2,600 an hour. Now, I only charge 90. No, I lied. Mistake. I only charge 80 bucks an hour now. Okay, that's like a 97% discount. Yeah, LA goes, yep, me too. Got a number of projects half done and looking at me. I can look or I can do. And as Yoda put it, there is no try. There is do or do not. Okay, this is why I did the revamp. Because I got looking at it going, I'm in a depression. I'm not in a depression. I'm in an absolute crater. But I've got a choice. I can continue looking at that crater and go, there's a wall I cannot climb, and get this one. And this is your ability too. This is also part of the game of life. Can you, in your mind's eye, can you take a look at that crater and then go, I'm going to turn around. Okay. Can you take a look at that crater like I'm standing in and see that one wall drop down to an incline? Okay. Because let's face it, it's unrealistic to expect yourself to be on top of the world. Okay. However, you visualize a path. Maybe it's just a stairway. Maybe it's just a ladder. Okay. And we are going to be covering that as well. Now, with this in mind, okay, I'm just looking here. Lunar goes, PG&E cuts our power and internet if too many people complain. And that's absolutely the problem. This is one of the reasons why I turn around and go, I cannot permit, we cannot permit trolls to come in here. Now, I will tell you, I've got to get, Storm is going to look into it for me. But I got a message on LinkedIn that my Facebook page may be terminated. And I didn't buy it. I'm just getting him to look into it. Our Facebook page may be shut down because of some sort of infraction. Well, the reality is it's possible. I don't know. Lord knows I can take people off. But we have to look at the reality. Are you content with where your world is? But if you can visualize a ramp out of that cage. Oh, there you go. Yeah, we're black as pitch out here right now. Well, no. We're very dark right now. It's getting darker. Yeah, that's the fact. Well, that's what I was thinking, LA. The fact is, I got it, I think, on the 23rd. And here we are on the 1st, and I've still got my page. Take care, Luna. Thanks so much for dropping in. Really appreciate you spending your time with us. But if you can visualize that ramp and you start working towards it, you can get yourself out of that crater. Okay? You absolutely can. I'm going to prove that that's possible by doing it. Okay? Now, the other thing I'm working on is this neat little series here. Okay? That's the Ildebaking Chronicles. Now, this is a story I started writing back in grade 10 when I wrote the original outline. This is essentially what you would call my life's work. Neat part about it, the different metaphysical tools that we talk about, okay, throughout this series, I am including them. Oh, I appreciate that, LA. And to think that came in through LinkedIn. Of course, I've had countless people go, oh, I'd really like to get to know you. And I'm like, I'm quite happily attached to the woman I'm with. Not looking for a spare partner. But this series, I tell you now, this series has many of these races in it. Okay? Many of these, now this is just a reference manual. Okay? And again, at that link at the top, at the Buy Me a Coffee link, at buymeacoffee.com/InnerVoiceJ. All of the books are listed. We are working on getting PDFs done. Okay, it's just one thing at a time. Now, by utilizing all of these works and one other set, is this neat little one here, Mr. Dreamcatcher. Well, there we go. This is a children's story I wrote literally for my 2-year-old son. One of the biggest things that I look at is very simple. Okay, when you take a look at the game of life, it's up to you. Are you going to play to win and take credit for your successes? Okay, maybe it took you a little bit of time and you put the money aside and now you can purchase that thing you really desire to have. Or perhaps you put it all aside and went, no, not a good idea. So you didn't spend any money on it. And when the bottom fell out, you didn't lose any money. Take credit for your own successes. Absolutely. Now, I'm the first one to tell you I have trouble with trust. However, you have to trust some people, which is why I've got Storm in LA. Okay, and of course, my other half of my kids. But that's almost where it ends. Not quite. I've got a couple other people. But the game of life, you win by focusing on the positive goals, not by focusing on everything that's gone wrong. I can certainly sit here and we could call this, we could turn this all around and go positive. This is no longer positive perceptions. This is depressing outlooks. Okay. And I swear there are some places that talk about being spiritual guides. I swear they should be looking, well, I swear way too much. You should be looking at them going, if you're a spiritual guide, why are you saying we're all heading for hell? And please tell me, if you're going to tell me I'm heading to hell, please tell me you've been there so you can tell me what to look forward to. I'll tell you, in my case, I have been there. Okay, hot tubs are way too hot. Way, way, way too hot. Okay, the deep tissue massages, not a problem. They are literally to die for. Now, when I take a look at the other thing I'm looking at here, okay, one of the other things I'm seeing a lot more of it here today, one of the other things I am striving for, and this really boils down to you and to getting your guys' assistance, and that is to increase the activity level in the chat room. Because simply put, I feed off it. Okay, it's something that I can work with quite readily. But it does require your guys' input. One of the things that we have to look at, the game of life is simple. You're either going to live or, you're either going to enjoy your life or you're going to do what I was doing. Really bad idea, makes for a very depressing outlook on life. Okay, you can sit there and go, I'm just waiting for my time to be over. I'm telling you, absolute godsend. You guys were really helpful in helping me stay focused on the positive side. But I will tell you, the fact that I found a partner that is absolutely a doll, okay, she has been a real focal point for me to go, no, I'm not leaving her behind. And no, I'm not going to kill her to take her with me. That's just not going to work. But the way you win at the game of life, as my father used to put it, shoot for the stars. You may only get to the moon, but you'll be a heck of a sight higher up the ladder than you were. But it's up to you to get off the tail and actually make it happen. And certainly there is nothing wrong with reaching down to pull somebody up behind you, to give them a hand up. Remember, giving somebody a hand up is not a bad thing. Yeah, I'm thinking probably not, but she's short. The way I figure it, I've already done the run at death. What I have spent 60 years avoiding. And I really wish that somebody had come along and slapped me in the head a long time ago and gone, Keith, you're not living. You're barely existing. And you're looking at everybody going, it's all your fault. And I did the same thing. This is why I said, starting today, we have got to, as individuals, and subsequently, as a side effect, society. We have got to choose to live, okay, not to just exist. Now, you do have to pay attention to things, and we're going into how you go about it, because just randomly throwing money out the window doesn't work. Okay, rest assured, I did that enough. Get this. Up to this point in time, I've been a philanthropist all my life without any consideration of money in the future. Net result, I'm fighting to keep a roof over my head right now. I am owed, when you include the estate of my brothers, I am owed in excess of $100,000. Okay, now that's a silly thing to have owing outstanding coming to you when you're living on the edge. Okay, it's a real silly thing. Do not, if you can avoid it, don't do that. Okay, the way to win at the game of life is to go, this is where I am. Now, I desire to climb. So how am I going to climb that ladder? Can I see it? Do I know how? If the answer is yes, quit stalling, because procrastination will not get you anywhere. Okay, and blaming somebody else isn't going to help. This is just the reality of it. Conversely, of course, if you're going to blame everybody else, give them all the credit for it as well. Why not? Well, it doesn't work that well either. There you go. Yeah, we can safely say that. And Joe goes, in 2025, I'm not sure when actually, but I will have a fifth dream journal in progress. Yeah, well, I'm looking at your dream journals. I'm guessing you're about halfway through, maybe 2/3. So yeah, the odds of you finishing it before the end of the year, not good. When I look at this, now, as you guys know, I've been reading books. This one in particular, this is the 6th volume. Okay, and I'm almost done. I think I've got 1 day left of reading. This book will be finished. Okay, and then I'll move on to the 7th. The Bible. This is the one I grew up with. I'm now almost halfway through it. So it'll be a while before I finish. But I told my dad, on his deathbed, I would finish it. Game of Life says, you make a commitment, you give your word on something, you follow it. Okay? And this is why I say, if you desire people to be honest with you, be honest with them. Now, this third one I'm in the middle of reading. Well, in all fairness, I've only gotten about 1/10 of the way in. But like so many of you, I finally started reading the Game of Thrones. Okay. I'm not a quick reader. I've got no interest in being a quick reader. I'm going to have to check that one there, LA. I am currently in Psalms chapter 38. That's where I am at this point. Now, I still cannot quote passages for you, but I can tell you this. In this book, I have seen redundancies and I have seen mistakes. Okay? So the reality is the Bible itself perfect? Not a prayer. Okay? And I'm not going to go into the details on what I see with it, but that's where I am at this point. Am I going to start quoting Bible passages? Only if they ever stand out for me. But I certainly am not going to go, here's a passage from the Bible, take it on top of everything else. That's not me. Okay. I'm no more likely to do that than tell you. Actually, I'm more likely to tell you this topic that came up in The Hobbit was this. You've heard me talk about different songs I've listened to. Okay, and when we take a look at this, now understand something. We'll get into this, in a few days, which I'll cover. But in here, the lead guy here in the book, that's Jeremiah Wollstrom. Now, I built him for a gaming campaign. Okay. Now the sad part there, the good thing is there's a lot of me in him. Okay. A lot more violent. Okay, but the same philosophy. But understand, this is based in post-apocalyptic. Okay. Science fiction, science fantasy, depending on who you talk to. Let's not put that there, shall we? But throughout that very, very violent little story, it's a story not for little kids. Okay, Mr. Dreamcatcher was written for a 2-year-old. And I tell you, when I wrote it for my son, and he would not go to bed, okay, he would not go to bed until he heard that story. From age 2 to about a month before he turned 8. The reality of it is, when we start looking at the Bible and start looking at God, the God I believe in, that I follow, because I do believe in God. I absolutely believe in Jesus Christ. Okay, maybe more so than many. But the God I believe in, number one, is not vengeful, is not vindictive, and is not sitting there waiting to put his finger on your head and hold you underwater. He's just not that way inclined. Okay, with the game of life, yes, everybody needs a spiritual focal point because life is split in 3: spirit, mind, and body. Okay, and again, we have this funny little thing called the trilogy. Okay, the mind is split in 2: logic and emotion. Okay, but it's a mesh between logic and emotion that holds things together. And with the game of life, put your focus wherever you will. But I will tell you, the key to actually succeeding in the game of life, in the actual game of life, is to literally choose to find a balance between your spirit, what you're drawn to, your logic, the mind, where your logic and your emotions mix. Okay. Find the thing that draws those in there, and then get your tail feathers off the couch and make the effort to make things happen. Because I will tell you, you keep pointing the finger at somebody else. As was pointed out earlier, 3 fingers are pointing at you. Okay, and you're doing that to yourself. Same thing. Okay, when I look at money, now I used to spend it like there was no tomorrow for really, really stupid reasons. I call them stupid because I knew better. Okay. But you win at the game of life by going, what am I not content with? And modifying the way you're focusing on it. Are you focusing on it to say it's somebody else's fault? Or I'm such a lousy person. I've done so many bad things, I'm going to be punished forever. God doesn't punish you. Okay, the God I believe in does not beat the daylights out of you. Okay, he leaves that for you. And yes, you can continue to hang on to what did you do wrong. One of the big factors in life, you find a partner, you get together. Now, if I recall correctly, it was the Romans that came up with the idea, you have to get married. But that, frankly, was so they could tax you easier. Whether you get married or not does not determine whether a relationship will work. you take a look at, now, who was it here? I'm drawing a complete blank. But there's 2 stars, and just giving Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell. Okay, I believe they've been together for 30 years ish. They never got married, and yet they're tightly tied together. Okay, whether you get married or not in life, it's one of the, in Milton Bradley, you had that choice. You could get married. Actually, I think they laid it out that you had to eventually. Okay, in the real world, you don't. But I will tell you, you choose a partner. That's the one you stay with. Don't go finding a spare partner on the side. Okay, it doesn't work well. And again, do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. I swear I'm French. No, really, I'm not. Scottish, yes. But no, I do not have the strength to toss a Kyber. The neat part about it is with the game of life, you find a balance between what you're drawn to, how your mind envelops it. Most of the time, and this is not indicative, this isn't to say it's always this way. Most of the time, the majority of men are based in logic. Okay. And I tell you, some of their logic is just absolutely screwy. I'm going to get my other half to do what I want by beating the living stuffing out of them. This is just blanket wrong. Oh, there we are. So it's been 41 years. Thank you so much, LA. LA's just letting us know Kirk Russell and Goldie Hawn have been together since 1983. So, 41 years. Okay. I was hoping my marriage was going to end up lasting until I died. It didn't. Although I do still have a friendship out of the deal. Now, the neat thing that you can look at here is real simple. When we take a look at the way the world is, okay, it's up to you to decide in the game of life, are you going to focus on what you did wrong, or are you going to focus on what you did right? Take a look at your school years. Okay, if you were involved in sports at all, and let's say you were on a winning team, do you focus on that one game you won, or do you focus on the number of games that you lost? Okay, that's your choice. The game of life is about choice. Okay, are you going to choose to look at all the things that went wrong? Or are you going to choose to look at all the things that have gone right? And yeah, you may well have little things that worked. Okay, you may have very few comparatively. Like, especially if you found a partner that you're with, okay, or you've got kids. You can look at all the things they did wrong. You can continue to beat on them for it. Or you can turn around and go, okay, what did you do right? And you give them a pat on the back, give them a hug, tell them they did well. Don't worry about it. You're moving forward. You're all going to make miscalculations. I'm pretty certain every one of you has gone down a dead-end road, had to turn back, come back out to the road you were on, and start over. Okay, this is what life is. But you win by focusing on the positive side of it. Okay, so what we're looking at here is a shift in your philosophy. Are you going to choose to look at the positive and thereby find a way to help yourself feel better, help yourself feel more accomplished? Or are you going to keep banging your head against the wall? Okay, I know way back in the 90s, I think it was, I saw somebody was selling absolutely weird, but this gives you an idea of what people were buying. Okay, they had a black disc about the size of a paper plate. Okay, it was pure black. And then they put a nail in the thing and glued it to the wall. And they literally put in the packaging frustration, cure frustration and cure. Pin this on the wall, bang your head on the black spot. Okay. Now, I always looked at that and went, no, I'm not going to do that. Many people have done really, really dense ideas. Okay. But the reason I chose to go the way I am is I decided, okay, I can continue telling you and continue blaming others and go, oh, my life is a mess and I'm just a shambles and nothing I do is working. I've gone through that. Yeah. Ellie goes, banging my head was fun. Pretty colors. Had to give it up. Couldn't keep up with the plaster cost. See, for me, I used to bang my head on the wall all the time until I came up against a brick fireplace. Not a real brilliant idea. Okay. When I ran into the brick wall, it's like, no, that's not fun. Fortunately, my forehead is thick. Like I said a while back, in Kelowna, where I am, up in BC, Canada, okay, the biggest hats you usually find are a double X. Okay, my head requires a 4X hat. Okay, so when I say I've got a fat head or a thick skull, I'm not kidding. But the game of life is won by literally going, I'm not content with this aspect, so I'm changing it. Okay, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not going to focus on how bad my life is. I'm going to look at what I've got, and I'm going to start capitalizing on it. And yes, we are going to be covering some of the tools I use to make things happen. Okay, it's that simple. But that's because I've gotten fed up. I've been looking at the world in my life, in this life. I've been looking at it going, I am such a burden to people. I do not function well in this world. I'd love to say I do, but me and computers just don't get along well. But it wasn't until 3 days ago when I had a very interesting, people talk about intervention, right? I had an intervention meeting, but here's the thing. It was my mom, my dad, and my 2 eldest brothers, and my grandmother came in and sat with me and pulled me into an intervention meeting. Now, here's the long and the short of it. They're all dead. Okay. So, when we start looking at the metaphysical world, we got to realize, for me, it's a very real world. Like I said, the paranormal is only paranormal until it becomes so common that it becomes normal. Now, I'm just looking at this. I got told a little bit ago that we were at the 30-minute mark, so that's okay. But tomorrow, just so you guys have a heads up, tomorrow we are going to be looking at literally self-motivation, okay, and how to make it through that, how to put that to use. That is going to be on Saturday. On Sunday, we're going to look at the art of creative writing. Okay. Then on Monday, we're going to take this a little bit further into that neat little world. Okay. Of bringing your how do I put it here? Bringing your functional world to life. Okay. We're going to concentrate on how, and these are all tools to help you with the game of life. Okay, to help you capitalize on the things that you already have. You may not even know you've got these abilities. And then on Tuesday, we're going to be looking at co-creating your new you. Okay, we're going to pull all of this together because these are all tools for winning at the game of life. Okay, this is no longer a question of, gee, how can we talk about what's wrong with the world? There we go. Thank you so much, LA. LA's just posting that back up. Make a note of it, people, because these are all linked together. And yes, I am literally taking these different tools and putting them to use in my world. Like I said, if I'm going to tell you I'm here as a spiritual guide, this means the tools I'm offering are the exact same tools I personally use. Okay, and that's why. What do I do with them? I put them all on. Oh, there they are. That's why these tools, because the reality is this information is available, and I'm doing my best to get it all on paper, because when I die, and I will die, Lord knows when, I was told quite literally a month ago, I was told, Keith, you got 6 months to straighten this out, or it won't matter. It wasn't a question of getting the money all sorted out in 6 months. It was more getting this, as in my head, sorted out. Nathan, how you doing? Glad you could drop in and just show up. Nathan, what do we got here? Yeah, LA goes, this can also be titled Stacking Up the Pebbles and Escaping the Crater. Yeah, these are all, I mean, there's a lot of ways we can put it. The one thing that I do know for an absolute certainty, I've got a very special young lady in my life that I have every intention on marrying. Okay, so yeah, I'm completely off the grid. I'm off the market as far as that goes. But yeah, on tomorrow, on Saturday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, Nathan is coming on with the Quantum Show. I strongly suggest you drop in and see what he has to say. My schedule is absolutely screwy. Sometimes I can make it, but my energy levels tend to tank. Primarily because, like this morning, when did I get up this morning? I write it down so I can tell. Yep, that was brilliant. I've been up, I kid you not, since 2:30 this morning. Okay, I still got a long way to go. But the game of life is simple. You either play it to win or you play it to lose. Your call. Now, even with the game of Monopoly, okay, Monopoly is an easy enough game to play. But I used to sit down and go, I know I'm going to lose. Well, if you go in and go on with the game of life with the idea you're going to lose, okay, you can almost bet your bottom dollar you will. Okay, I'm about to lose certain things, or more to the point, I've chosen to say if they go, they go. But I'm no longer looking at the setbacks and going, this is a downfall. The game of life is literally won by doing two things. One, take a look at the things you're not content with and start altering the path on them. This may just be a question of looking at them from a different angle. Two, if you don't know how to change something, talk to somebody that's already successfully done it. Okay, now talking to me about how to become a millionaire, I can extrapolate, I can tell you this is what works. I've never been there. Not this lifetime. I have every intention on getting there, but this is why, oh, by the way, all the best intentions in the world. Don't do a dang thing if you don't get your butt off the couch. And as the saying goes, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. I literally grew up fearing prosperity. In spite of the fact I talk about how you can get it. I have spent 60 years, well, 61, but looking at the world going, oh, all these rich people, what I'm seeing is so many of them treat people like garbage. Okay, net result, because I never learned how to piece it together. I looked at it and went, money is the problem. It's not the root of all evil. But every time I saw somebody get money, their attitude went right through the floorboards and destroyed marriages. I didn't want anything to do with it. I should have paid attention. And we'll get to that later as to different tools, not the least of which is believe in your finances and follow your dreams. Okay, the game of life is won by deciding you're already a winner. Okay, it's that simple. You don't have to be better than anybody else. The trick is to continue to become better than you were. This is just one of those jump points. And it's now time to make that happen. Now, I'm running on a pretty good solid high right now. No, not with drugs. Not even with that much coffee in all reality. I'm only working on my third pot today. So it's not bad. Well, maybe it is. I'm not sure. What I do know is that when we take a look at the game of life, it is up to you to decide, are you going to continue berating yourself and buying into what other people are telling you? Are you going to listen to the people that have more money than you and going, oh, you're not as important as me because I got money? I got news for you. The Egyptians tried it. 7,000 years ago, the Egyptians went, we want all this stuff and we're taking it with us. It didn't work. Okay, you're not taking the material world with you. But what you can do is take the memory of the wealth that you've accumulated, take that with you into the next life and build on that. This is why I'm already looking at my next life going, when I come back, I'm coming into money. Now, I don't know whether I'm going to come into a positive environment or a negative one. All I know is I'm going to take that money and turn around and become the philanthropist that I should have been this lifetime. Now, I say should because in my eyes, if I'd have done what I knew worked, okay, I could have been in a lot better shape. I didn't. I'm not. I'm starting here, but this, just like for you, we are back at the starting point. We are back at the game of life. We've played it multiple times. Maybe you've gone on adventures, and that was the sidetrack you went on. I'm going out to take this little loop off the beaten path, and I'm going to circle back around. I'm going to miss this, and I'm going to hit this little point here. Maybe that's the journey you're on. But every time you move forward, every time you succeed at something, and bear in mind, even if something doesn't work the way you intended, as long as you learn something, maybe all you learned was don't do that again. Okay, I do know when I stuck my finger in a light socket the first time, that was, by the way, an accident. I did discover I don't like the feeling. So I didn't put my finger back in the light socket. I did, however, lean on a stove that wasn't grounded properly. That was almost as much fun. But you win at the game of life by deciding, here's what the cards were that you were born with. These are the tools. And this is how I'm going to evolve. Okay, you win by deciding you're not a loser. And I will tell you, lots of people can call you a loser. They can call you all kinds of names. Okay, the key is not to believe them. Okay, that's where it gets to be a little complicated. And it's one of these things we have to look at and go, am I going to win at the game of life? And here's the marker for winning. Are you leaving the world in a better state than it was in when you got here? That's how you know if you're winning. Okay. Now, I look at my life, I have literally had, and I have had in the bank I have had over $100,000 at one point. But I gave most of it away or just squandered it. Stupid, stupid, stupid move. I knew better. That's why I call it stupid. Your choice. You can continue looking at the past and beat yourself black and blue over what you did wrong or what you missed. Or you can focus on what you're doing right. Now, and thanks for the reminder there, LA. Okay, or no, I think that's Storm putting that up. But in 2.5 hours, okay, tonight, 9 p.m. Pacific, I will be on Spaced Out Radio again. And I don't recall, honestly, if we're in our 9th year or 10th year. But it's been close to a decade on the air with Spaced Out Radio. Okay, where we're going to focus on, at least the theory would be, aliens, ancient races, all those neat little weird things. We will get back to those here. But this week, like I said, this week we are going to be looking at the self-help side of things. How do we take your world from where it is and give you the tools so that you can actually turn around and have the life you desire to have? This is about winning the game of life through all its variations. Okay, but you're the one that's going to have to get up and make the changes. Okay, absolutely. If you have a topic or an area you would like to talk about, absolutely drop me a line. Okay, if you look below any of the videos, they'll tell you how to get a hold of me. But suffice it to say, clearly you can get a hold of me here. Or if you go up to buymeacoffee.com/innervoiceJ, okay, you'll be able to connect with me. Absolutely, I encourage you to do this because, like I said, my life purpose, now that I'm starting this round of life, this game of life, I am bound and determined to do my best to guide you into a way of having the life you desire in spite of whatever's going on around you. Okay, the idea is to open the door and let you and show you, yes, regardless of what you've done, you probably made mistakes. I'll virtually guarantee it. Okay, but in spite of that, in spite of what's going on in the rest of the world, you focus on the positive things, on making positive adjustments to your life, and you will have the life you desire. Because the reality is, once you choose to adjust the negative energy in your life, clear the clutter out, focus on the positive. And again, every time you witness something negative, deliberately go looking for 2 things of a positive nature. Experience those, and you'll tilt that scale back to a positive level. Okay, this is the key to success. It's one of these things. You've got the choice. You can continue blaming yourself, blaming others. You can berate yourself. Doesn't matter. You can focus on the negative. Your call. I will tell you, it does make me feel sorry for you. Well, no, that's wrong. It does bother me that so many people are buying into the negative, myself included. Okay, so I do encourage you to absolutely bring your friends, bring your enemies. It is time for us to grow this stream to a going concern. Okay, absolutely imperative. Now, with that in mind, we've just been informed we've hit the 5 minutes. So I want to thank you all so very much for sharing your time with me tonight. Really appreciate it. Tomorrow we open the door to self-help and self-motivation. Okay, but until then, do take care of yourselves.